In Australia, the average quantitative trader earns about $265,000 a year. At the top of the band, it passes $380,000. These are finance jobs. They sit inside banks, hedge funds, and trading firms. And the people who get them mostly did not study finance. The firms hiring for these roles are looking for mathematicians, physicists, and computer scientists. A finance degree is not what gets you in the room, and in some cases, it actively does not help. This is what the job actually is, what it actually pays, and why so few people end up doing it. Start with what the job is not. A quant is not someone who picks stocks. They are not reading company reports and deciding a business looks undervalued. That is a different job with a different skill set. A quant builds the models underneath the trading. They work out what a financial instrument should be worth, how likely a price move is, how much risk a position carries, and how to execute a trade without moving the market against yourself. The raw material is data and probability. The output is a model, and usually code that runs it. The closest honest description is that it is applied mathematics pointed at markets. The word quant covers 4 fairly different jobs, and people conflate them constantly. A quantitative researcher looks for patterns and builds the strategies. This is the most academic role and the hardest to enter. A quantitative trader runs those strategies in live markets and manages the risk while they run. A quantitative developer builds the systems that execute trades, often in high-performance code, measured in microseconds. And a risk quant models what happens when things go wrong, usually inside a bank under regulatory requirements. They pay differently, they hire differently, and the entry requirements are not the same. So, why mathematics rather than finance? Because the actual problem is not knowing what a bond is. That can be taught in weeks. The actual problem is modeling uncertainty. Markets are noisy, and most of what looks like a pattern is coincidence. The core professional skill is being able to tell the difference, mathematically, and to know how confident you are allowed to be. That is not a finance skill. That is statistics and probability theory, and it takes years to build. A finance degree teaches you the vocabulary of markets. A mathematics degree teaches you how to reason under uncertainty. Firms hire the second one and teach the first. The mathematics is specific, and it is worth knowing what each part is for. Probability and statistics are the foundation. Everything else sits on top. This is the language for saying how likely something is, and how much you should trust the estimate. Linear algebra is how you handle many variables at once. Portfolios, correlations, and most machine learning underneath are linear algebra. Stochastic calculus is the mathematics of processes that move randomly through time. It is what lets you price an option on something whose future value nobody knows. And time series analysis is how you work with data that arrives in order, where what happened yesterday changes what tomorrow means. Then there is the code, and this is not optional. Python is the working language of most of the industry. Research, analysis, model prototyping, machine learning. If you learn one thing, learn this one properly. C++ still exists in this field for one reason: speed. When a strategy depends on reacting faster than competitors, the difference between languages is measured in microseconds, and microseconds are the entire edge. SQL is unglamorous and constantly used, because the data has to come from somewhere. The distinction that matters to employers is between someone who can write a script and someone who can build a system that runs unattended with real money behind it. Now, everything so far is the part people expect. Hard mathematics, serious programming, high pay. But there is a filter in this career path that stops most qualified candidates, and it is not the mathematics. People who have the degree, the grades, and the coding ability still fail to get in, consistently, and usually at the same point in the process. We will come back to that, because it changes what preparing for this career actually looks like. First, the money with real numbers. In Australia, An entry-level quantitative analyst with 1 to 3 years of experience averages around $108,000. The overall average for quantitative analysts is about $152,000, and in Sydney, it is closer to $162,000. Quantitative traders average around $265,000, with a range from roughly $187,000 at the low end to $382,000 at the high end. These are averages across a whole market. Elite proprietary trading firms pay well above them, and they hire very few people. But base salary is a misleading number in this industry because of how the bonus works. In most professions, a bonus is a modest percentage attached to company performance. In trading, the bonus is often tied to the profit your strategy generates, and it can exceed the base salary entirely. That cuts both ways. A strong year can double total compensation. A weak year can mean almost nothing beyond base, and 2 weak years in a row often means the seat is gone. This is the part rarely mentioned in salary guides. The high numbers are real, and they are variable, and the variance is the point. There are 3 realistic doors into this field. The first is a strong undergraduate degree in mathematics, statistics, physics, engineering, or computer science, combined with a genuine portfolio of work. This door is narrower, but it is open, particularly for trading and developer roles. The second is a specialist master's, usually a Master of Financial Engineering or Quantitative Finance. These programs exist specifically to produce hireable quants, and firms recruit from them directly. That recruiting pipeline is most of what you're paying for. The third is a PhD. Research roles at top funds remain PhD heavy because that work is genuinely academic research aimed at markets. Which door suits you depends on what you are optimizing for, and each has a real cost. The undergraduate route is cheapest and fastest, but you carry the burden of proof. Without a recruiting pipeline behind you, your portfolio has to do the work that a program's reputation would otherwise do. The master's route buys access. It is also expensive, often a year or 2 of tuition and foregone income, and the outcome depends heavily on the specific program's placement record rather than the degree title. The PhD route is 4 to 6 years of low pay for a narrow set of roles. If you want research at a top fund, it is close to mandatory. For anything else, it is an expensive way in. Which brings us back to the filter. The thing that stops most qualified candidates is the interview. And quant interviews are unlike almost any other hiring process in finance. You will be given probability puzzles and expected to solve them out loud. Mental arithmetic under time pressure. Estimation questions with no clean answer. Problems deliberately designed so you cannot finish them comfortably in the time given. They are not primarily testing whether you know the answer. They are testing how you think when you do not, whether your reasoning stays structured under pressure, and whether you notice your own mistakes before someone points them out. In practice, that means the preparation is different from the education. Candidates who succeed have usually spent months specifically practicing this format. Mental maths drills, probability puzzle sets, speaking their reasoning aloud while solving, which is unnatural and has to be trained. And here is the part that catches strong students. Academic mathematics rewards taking time and arriving at a rigorous, complete answer. Quant interviews reward a fast, structured, approximately correct answer, with the reasoning exposed. Those are different skills. Being excellent at the first does not make you good at the second, and the gap between them is where most rejections happen. One more shift worth understanding, because it changed where entry-level opportunity sits. Classic arbitrage means the same asset trading at different prices in 2 places at once. You buy the cheaper, sell the dearer, and take the difference. In traditional markets, those gaps are now measured in fractions of a cent and are closed almost instantly by firms with enormous infrastructure. In cryptocurrency markets, those gaps persisted far longer, across exchanges and decentralized protocols, and for a period, they were large enough to be captured by small teams and individuals. That window has narrowed considerably as the market matured, but it produced a generation of quantitative traders who learned by building rather than by being hired. That points at the actual structure of this career, which is a stack rather than a single qualification. Mathematics alone makes you an academic. Programming alone makes you a software engineer. Market knowledge alone makes you an analyst. The value comes from holding all three at once, because the number of people who genuinely do is small, and the work requires all three simultaneously. That scarcity is what the salary is paying for. Not intelligence in the abstract, and not effort. A specific combination that takes years to assemble, and that most people stop one component short of. Now, the part that career guides tend to leave out. The hours are long, and the pressure is continuous, because performance is measured constantly and visibly. A bad run is not a private disappointment. It is a number other people can see. The skills are narrower than they appear. Deep expertise in market microstructure transfers to fewer places than a general software or data career does. Strategies decay. Something that works stops working, often without warning, and the work is partly a treadmill of replacing your own edge. And the seats are genuinely scarce. Top firms hire in the low tens per year, from global applicant pools in the thousands. Where it leads afterwards is worth noting, because a quant career is often not the destination. The skills transfer well into financial technology, where the same modeling and engineering ability applies to payments, lending, and digital banking, usually with better hours. Some move into data leadership roles outside finance, where quantitative rigor is rarer and therefore valuable. And some use the accumulated capital to fund something of their own, which is the standard route out of any high-income, high-intensity profession. The salary is not the end state. It is what pays for the next thing. So, the honest summary. The pay is real and it is documented. The mathematics is genuinely hard and cannot be shortcut. The interview is a separate skill from the education, and it is where most qualified people are eliminated. The seats are few. The barrier is not intelligence. It is that the foundation has to be built years before you can apply for the job. And most people discover the path exists after the window to prepare for it cheaply has already closed. Which is why the highest paying job in finance mostly does not hire finance graduates.